We're back here on the program, The Platform, and we are speaking with Ona Brown, the daughter of Les Brown, who has been here on numerous occasions. But as I said to her during the commercial break, that she is just as good as Les Brown, your father.
Thank you.
How did you get into the business of public speaking?
You know, it's interesting that you would ask that. I remember when my father and we went through a very challenging time as a family because he was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
I remember.
And when he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, we were in the eye of the storm. And so I moved him into my place in Chicago, and I took the guest bedroom and I moved him into the master bedroom, and I was feeding him everything that I could find that would bring life to the body, you know, juicing organic cucumbers and celery, and we were praying, we were meditating. I said, Dad, I think we need to put some of your tapes in because we need some motivation, because this was very challenging to see a man with this type of energy and this type of power in a bedridden and in pain. And so after a couple of weeks of him being there, he said, Ona, I need you to come in here into the room. I need to confide in you about something. I said, you can talk to me about anything. What is it, Dad? He said, well, I've been eavesdropping on your phone calls. I said, is that right? He said, yeah. I said, and why would you do that? He said, because I was bored and I didn't have nothing else to do. And so I said, okay. He said, but I want to tell you something. He said, as a result of me being nosy, I discovered that you, Ona, are a powerful speaker and you're a powerful coach. He said, you're just using the telephone as your microphone. And I said, what you talking about, Willis? And so he said, no, 98.9% of the people that call here, you uplift them, you encourage them, you give them methods and techniques to take their lives to the next level. And I say, yes, I do, Dad, but I'm not a speaker. I can't do that. I'm shy. I'm introverted. I'm a one-on-one person. And he said, no, I believe that you can do this. I said, no, I cannot. I said, I know who I am. I'm your #1 salesperson in the back of the room. I negotiated your first highest paid international contract. I do the research on the company and help you to give the outline for your presentation so you can get a standing ovation. I am a behind the scenes person. I am not a person to take center stage. He said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. Finally, he used wisdom. He knew I wasn't going to back down. He said, you know what? Maybe you're not a speaker. Maybe you're not a coach, but you sure tell a great story. I said, I do tell a pretty good story now. He said, well, would you be willing to come on stage and tell a story? You ain't got to speak or nothing. So I said, okay, I'll come on stage and tell a story, but I am not speaking. So he tricked me. And I still can't believe he got me with that. So I got on stage. I'm telling this story. I feel this connection with the audience. I see people having these aha moments. People come up to me and say, thank you. I needed to hear that. You spoke into my life. This was for me today. And I said, whoa, this is kind of interesting. So then the next time I was supposed to come up and just tell a story for about 10 or 15 minutes. I told a story. I added a quote. I threw in a scripture. I spiced it up with a statistic. And the next thing you know, I've been going for like 45 minutes strong.
Wow.
Dad came from behind me and said, excuse me, can I get the mic? I said, back up, brother. I'm on a roll.
So that is how it started, eh?
Yes, that's how it started.
Very good. You know, there are some people who have not developed a sense of self.
Yes.
And I'd like for you to speak to that, understanding self. Because you can only do some things if you have a sense of self.
Very true. So powerful. This is why I've started this movement around Own Your Dreams with Ona Brown. Because my father started telling people about how to live their dreams. But one of the main challenges that I've found that keeps reoccurring when I'm coaching clients, and I deal with the down and out and the up and out. I've had clients that are worth over $300 million with the private jet, the private helicopter, several homes, several cars, but yet they're empty on the inside. They don't value themselves. They know how to go and build wealth, but they don't really know who they are or what they really stand for in life. And so that's why I tell people, because this message that we have started of owning your dreams, it's colorless, it's ageless, it's timeless. It's something that works in Sweden Australia, London. And so it comes back to spending that time with yourself. Most people are not willing to spend time with themselves. Most people are not willing to cut off the television. Most people are plugged in to all of this technology, but they're disconnected from themselves. And so that means that you have to be willing to push up the sleeves and deal with everything that shows up for you, the good, the bad, and the not so pretty. I don't like to say ugly.
Okay.
But all of us have different parts of ourselves that maybe we're not so proud of. And so one of the things that I admire about my father is his vulnerability. He talked about going through an embarrassing divorce from someone he loved dearly, Gladys Knight, who I call Mom G.
Okay.
And that was very challenging for him. But, you know, as speakers, we have two routes that we can take. We can stand and say, oh, I'm perfect and you need to be perfect like me, which is an illusion. Or we can be vulnerable and real and say, guess what? I have things that I am growing through as well. Areas that are my areas of shortcoming, and I'm willing to face it. I'm willing to do the work. And this is a process. See, most of us want the prize, but we don't want to go through the process, and we don't want to pay the price. But there is a responsibility for us to do this type of time in the silence, meditating, journaling, writing, facing ourselves, dealing with, when you look at this year that we're leaving, what are some things about you that you need to leave in this old year and not take into the new year? What are some things about you that maybe if you had it to do over again, you wouldn't do it that way? And we have to get ego out of the way, which is edging God out, and really be willing to face ourselves and understand that we all are a work in progress. No one is perfect. One of our biggest challenges is that we want to come off as if we've got it all together, and we don't.
Well, that is the first time I heard that definition of ego. We psychologists talk about the id and the ego.
Yes.
But we're not going to talk about the id and the ego, but your definition of edging God out. So knowing whose you are, I guess, is extremely important.
Yes. And it's a foundation for us to be able to really build and grow. And that comes with us really taking the time to do. I tell people, go to workshops, get these books that are helping us. Self-development books help us. Oftentimes people think, well, I read this book 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I worked on myself and it got me this far. But oftentimes, just like Albert Einstein said, the thinking that has brought me this far has brought about situations and circumstances that the old thinking can't get me out of.
Yeah, that is who you are.
Yeah.
But what about whose you are?
Whose you are? Oh, you want to go there?
Yes, that's exactly who I am.
Okay, so when you're talking about whose you are, that's however you see your God. You know, and I don't necessarily get into how people see their God, but they have to have an understanding that there's something bigger than them, and they have to deal with that relationship with, and whatever that looks like. I don't like to get into telling you it needs to be this way or needs to be that way. It's just about you having your personal relationship and building yourself spiritually. Because if you don't deal with the unseen, then everything that you do see will be a reflection of the unseen. So that's our spiritual walk. And that is, again, up to us to develop our spiritual muscles and to work on our spiritual hygiene. See, we know that we need to take showers every day, but oftentimes we don't want to do the spiritual work that we need to do in order to be our best selves.
And man is about spirit. Man, you're about spirit and body and soul.
Yes, definitely.
And so your spiritual well-being is extremely important.
And we are whole beings.
Yes.
Just like you said. And unfortunately, we live in a society that teaches us to live a segmented life.
Yes.
You can't do work Monday through Friday, a little family on Saturday, and then try to seek God's face on Sunday.
Mind, body, and spirit.
Yes, holistically. All of it is intertwined. All of it is a part of who we are on a day-to-day basis. So how are you seeking God's face on a day-to-day basis, not just on Sunday or Saturday, whichever your Sabbath might be?
Talking about mind, body, and spirit, let's talk about low self-esteem and a high self-esteem. And there are a whole lot of people who do not understand self, who have no appreciation for self, simply because they are suffering from low self-esteem at many times.
Yes.
How do you get out of a low estate,
Right.
that low self-esteem, to a higher esteem of self,
Right.
so that you can perform better?
That's a great question. One of the things that I believe, I've created a body of work called Discover the Greatest You Ever. And one of the things that came up for me in this body of work when I was creating it to help set people free was the fact that I used to allow what I did to be wrapped up into who I was. So because I wasn't doing great and fabulous and powerful things yet, I didn't see myself as much. I played myself small. I didn't recognize the greatness inside of me. And one of the things that my mother, Phyllis Nutter, she just gave me this shift in a conversation. She said, who you are is greater than anything that you will ever do. And you have to remember, Ona, you are a human being, not a human doing. When she said that, I started realizing just how fabulous I was. And that is a decision, that's a choice. Not to say that I didn't have challenges. When I was growing up, I thought, why are my cheeks so big? Why is my skin this color? Why are my lips? Now I celebrate all of that. I love all of that. But it was a process to be able to get to a place to understand how awesome I was. And that's something that I really love to do when I'm working with young girls, because unfortunately, we've been mainstreamed in this society to believe that if you don't look like XYZ, you are not beautiful. But if you're made, divinely made, uniquely made, and there's no one else like you on the entire planet, that's powerful. That's God's making. And so one of the things that I have the audience do when I'm speaking to them is to just look up at God and say, God, thank you for allowing me to be as magnificent as I am, and let me know the truth about myself, no matter how magnificent it is. And we need to learn how to celebrate that. The fact that you're still in the game of life. People are checking out of life on a day-to-day basis. And this is not a dress rehearsal. All we have is today. All we have is the moment. So really understanding that I've been given this gift of life, and I am an unrepeatable miracle. And I am here to shine in a way that no one else on the planet can shine like me but me.
Because you are shaped in the image and likeness of God.
Yes.
You're created by Him.
Yes.
In His image and likeness.
Yes.
And
Isn't
so
that
you
awesome?
should shine.
Shine, and shine brightly.
Absolutely. You know, we are living in times when there is violence all around. And particularly in Western societies throughout the Caribbean, we have our share of violence. Physical violence, mental violence. And there are people who are emitting violence or exuding violence. And so how do we get away from the mentality of violence in every shape or form? Because people are violent in their speech as well.
Very powerful observation. So true. You know, hurt people hurt people. But healed people heal people too.
Repeat that.
Hurt people hurt people. But I always say healed people heal people as well. So it comes back to our healing, really understanding how we can begin to come from a place of love. I believe love is the most powerful force in the universe. And I believe that we are here to exude and demonstrate and walk and express love. Is that easy? No, because there are people that will push your buttons, people that will hurt you, disappoint you, and then you have to set them straight, right? Look, you said,
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And so when we get to this place of understanding how to give more love, when I see our youth that are getting lost and falling prey to gangs or to violence, I always think about the fact that I'm not doing enough. I should be doing more workshops with young people, more training with young people, more group coaching with young people. I should be able to let them know just how powerful they are. They're people that have spoken life into me when I was a little girl. And it can't all come from one source. My mom did what she could do. My father did what he could do. But it was beautiful when a neighbor or an auntie or a cousin or someone, a stranger, said there's something special about you. There's something powerful in you. And so when we come back to my favorite quote, evil prevails when good men and women do nothing, the gang member is recruiting every day. The drug dealer is dealing drugs every day. So what is it that we need to do to be a part of that solution? How can we teach our young people about how to dress like, as my dad says, a prospect and not a suspect? How do we teach them how to work on their communication skills so that they can compete in this global economy? How do we teach them how to build achievement-driven relationships so they can work together on a project, if it's a garden or if it's a trip that we're all going to go to London and we're going to raise the funds? Whatever that looks like for them, setting clear intentions, having a dream, and working on that dream together and collaborating so that they can get a new image of themselves. Because if you don't see yourself in the future, you will act like a misfit in the present. So it is up to us to do the work and not to complain about where they are, because oftentimes it's because we haven't done our job to remind them of how special they are, how unique they are, and what they have inside of them.
Powerful. Ona Brown, we want to talk about victimhood and the communicative skills on this program, because these are extremely powerful things that we need to talk about. But let us take this final break.
Yes.
And we'll come right back.